Good evening. We are in front of Parashat Kedoshim. In Eretz Israel, they already read it because they don't have Pesach 2 days. So the second day of Yom Tov here that we have, Shvi Shel Pesach, by us it was Yom Tov. We read Pesach. But in Israel, they already read Parashat Kedoshim. So it's very interesting. Now the Parasha in here and in Israel is different. They are 1 week ahead until we're going to read 2 Parashot and it will balance it. This is a Parasha that you can talk about it maybe a year straight. There's so much in it. So many subjects that each one of them is a lecture by itself. We will do a little bit of each, as much as we can. I started to speak about it on Monday. Yesterday I spoke about it in Brooklyn also. But there's a lot more to say. The parasha begins, וידבר השם אל משה לאמור, דבר אל כל עדת בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם קדושים תהיו כי קדוש אני השם אלוקיכם. Hashem say to Moshe Rabbeinu to pass the message to the Jewish nation, I want every one of you to be holy. It's an obligation. It's not only for the rabbis. It's not only for special people to be holy. Every Jew has to be holy. How you become holy? The meaning of the word holy, kadosh, when we say kadosh in Hebrew, means holy. What does it mean, kadosh? Kadosh means separated, divided. When we say kodesh and chol, amavdil ben kodesh lechol, we say in Havdalah, that Hashem separate between holy and regular week. Shabbat is holy. Why? Because Hashem separated Shabbat from the week. It's a special day. It's different than the rest of the week. To be holy means to be different in a positive way. What does it mean, positive way? Every person on the street that you're going to ask how you become different in a positive way, everybody will say something else. One will say you work out in a gym, you become a gorilla, you're different in a positive way. One say you lose 50 pounds, you become different. In my age, most people are heavy. I lose 50 pounds, I'll be different in a positive way. One person say, I practice running, I run very fast, I'm different in a positive way. One person say, I'm going to make a plastic surgery, and another one, I become Michael Jackson. It's special in a different way. Everybody has his own dream. I should say nonsense. The only one that can define to become different in a positive way is the one that invented the word positive and negative. The one that made the word good, the one that made the word bad, is the only one that can define what's good and what's bad, not people. People have no idea what's going on. They don't understand anything from their life, especially those who don't learn Torah, the book of God. People are creature. A monkey born in a zoo, a cat, a dog, an elephant. They know much more than us about the world. If you don't believe me, stand by the zoo and see how the elephant gives birth. The baby falls on the floor. The mother kicks the head a few times. He gets up and he begins to walk. Same thing deer. Same thing chimpanzee. 1 hour after he was born, he's jumping already on the trees. Ready product. Not like a person, 18 years of preparation. With so much problems with his parents. He's not happy. He doesn't get enough. He has complaints. You understand? So basically, people they have a salad in their hand. They don't know what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. They don't know. You ask a Nazi what's good, he will tell you to kill Jews. You ask an Arab what's good, to kill Jews. Most Arabs. You ask, all kinds of people. You ask, Argentinian, what's good to know how to play football, soccer, or in Brazil, I should say. They'll die for it. You don't know how to play, you're worth nothing over there. Everybody has something, what it's called, good in his life. You ask certain people what's good, they say to be rich. If I'm rich, I'm good. If not, I'm nothing. I'm zero. I'm a loser. People make up their own guidelines, their own rules. But we don't really care about the rules of people. It's stupid. We only should follow one rule. Whether we like it or not, whether we understand it in the beginning or not, later on we will understand everything. If we really learn, we will understand. But one thing we should know, the creator of the world, the creator of people, the creator of good and bad, he is the only one that can say this is good and this is bad. And doesn't matter the opinion of anyone in the world, include the rabbis, with all due respect. If Hashem say this is good and the rabbis say it's bad, or the other way around, who are we going to listen? To the creator of the world, with all due respect. Nobody can contradict Hashem, and Hashem was pretty clear on his Torah. Not always, some things needs explanation, but in most areas in the Torah is very, very clear. For instance, Hashem decided to make a nation called the nation of Israel. He decided to call them the Jews, Yehudim, after Yehuda, the son of Yaakov. Why after Yehuda? Why he didn't call them Reuveni, Yosefim? Why he didn't call them by this? Gadim, Shimonim? Why he decided to call him Yehudim after Yehuda? Everything has a reason. After what happened to Yehuda and Tamar, that Yehuda sentenced her to death, and she hinted to him that he was the one that caused everything, he could have ignored her. Just kill her and that's it, next. And save his reputation, and save the embarrassment. But he admitted in front of everyone, Tzadka mimeni, she's right, I'm wrong. A judge in a court, in front of everyone, the defendant is right, I'm guilty, not him. Bring her back. Hashem loves people like this. Modeh ve'ozev yerucham. You did something wrong, don't cover for your crimes. It's written in the Torah, mechase pesha'av lo yatzliach, umodeh ve'ozev yerucham. Someone that cover for his crimes will not succeed. But someone that admit and leave the sin, where he will get mercy from me. So what do we learn? We just learn another rule. You want Hashem to love you and to have mercy on you, first thing is to admit that you were wrong or you did something wrong. You don't admit, you're not going to get any mercy. You don't get mercy from Hashem, you're done. Same thing in Israel, by the way, even in a secular court. It's the same thing. Even secular Jews, that some of them don't believe in God bichlal. Very wicked people sitting in a court. They have the same rules by them. The former president of Israel, Katsav his name, Katsav, they put him in jail for behaving not proper with a lady. They put him in jail for a few years. He's an older man, very gentle. Is not the type to be in jail, very, very sensitive. He went crazy, mentally crazy, from being the king of the world to put him like a lowlife in jail. Some people can handle it, some people it destroys them mentally. His mental state became extremely bad. So they had a committee that they have to decide if to release him and give him a third of his years discount. I don't remember how many years he got, 4 years, 5 years in prison. So they have to cut 1/3 to let him go. Why? Every prisoner that behave good, they give him 1/3 off. And we're talking even big criminals, murderers, big thieves. If they behave very good in jail, instead of 24 years, They cut 8 years, a third. After 16 years, they go on probation. They check them out, but they let them go. All of a sudden, the committee say, Moshe Katsav will follow the full sentence. He doesn't get a day discount. What's the reason? He never expressed any remorse for his action. He never admitted, and he never apologized, and he never regret. We don't give him 1 day discount. He's going to sit another 2 years in prison now, or a year and a half, because he didn't say, I'm sorry. And this is mamash, these judges are like goyim. We're not talking religious judges here. This is a concept that is very logical. Show regret. Show that you're embarrassed. Show that you're not the same person. Show that if you can turn the wheel back, you would not do it. We will try to help you out. You don't show any regret, any shame, meaning if we let you go, you go and do it right away again because you don't even feel you did anything wrong. You're denying it, you're covering for your crimes. What happened? You don't deserve any mercy. This is what Hashem say in the Torah. So Hashem say, I invented the word Israel. Israel. I invented the word Judaism, Jewish, Yehudim. I invented the covenant. What makes a connection between the Jew and me? What is it? What's the covenant? What's the covenant to connect the Jew to Hashem? Now without it you're not Jewish. Shabbat. You mechalel Shabbat is 100% like a goy. How many Jews in the world knows it? At least 80% does not know it. They don't know it. I promise you that if the 80% of the Jews in the world that are not Shomer Shabbat would know it, no question in my mind that half of them will become Shomrei Shabbat. Just from the embarrassment that I don't deserve to be called a Jew in the eyes of God, not in the eyes of the street. What people call you, it doesn't matter. They can call you the king of universe, who cares? You only have to care what Hashem calls you, not what people call you. People won't get you anywhere. Anyone can save you from hell. Anyone can put you in a better place in heaven. Anyone can take your cancer away. Anyone can give you a wife and children. Anyone can give you money. Does any human being that can do anything? David HaMelech wrote in Tehillim 3,000 years ago, in Psalms, אל תפתחו בנדיבים בבן אדם שאין לו תשועה תצא רוחו ישוב לאדמתו. Don't trust people. Generous people, not bad people. Bad people, there's no hope from them. A generous person, tzaddik, don't trust, don't count on him. Don't count on generous people. In 1 second their spirits go out and they fall back to the ground. They return to the ground. Meaning, they are limited. They are under my supervision. If I want, I take them away from the world in a second. How can you count on them? They cannot promise you that tomorrow morning they'll be alive. You count on them to come get you out of jail tomorrow? Do you know Bichlal if they'll be alive? Maybe they themselves will be in jail. Who told you they're going to wake up tomorrow morning? It's in my hand. Instead of running to beg them, beg me. I'll help you out. Then I will send somebody to help you. This is the way it works. So the idea is to be kadosh. Remember when they read in the Torah on Shabbat, Kedoshim tiyu, it's every Jew. Every Jew. Even the Jew that doesn't know that much from his life. Male, female, everyone. You have an obligation to be holy. Then we move on with the Parasha. And the Baruch Hashem, I begin to see. The Parasha say, Et Shabbatotai Tishmoru Ani Hashem. But before that it says, Ish imo ve'aviv tirau ve'et Shabbatotai Tishmoru Ani Hashem. What's the connection? I tell you, I give you an example. One person comes to you and say to you, I want you to go to the supermarket to buy milk. My uncle is getting his car tomorrow. So the person is looking at you. What? What, you don't understand English? I want you to go to the supermarket and buy milk. My uncle is getting his car tomorrow. So what would you answer? What do you ask him? What would be your question to this person? What's the connection? You want me to go to buy you milk? I'll buy you milk. But what does it have to do now with the fact that your uncle is buying a car tomorrow? Right away you'll be surprised. There's two options. Either there's something hidden here, or that this person is not normal. One of the two. Right? People that are not normal, they don't make a lot of sense. But over here, it says like this. Every one of you should fear their mother and father, and you have to keep my Shabbat, I am God. And you have to keep my Shabbat, I am God. What's the connection? You want me to fear and respect my parents? Okay. What is Shabbat in the middle of the sentence now? The answer is, even though it's very important for me that every one of you will respect your father and mother very much and fear them, meaning out of respect, it's all with condition that Shabbat is above them. Shabbat is more important than your parents. Meaning if your parents tell you to break my Shabbat, or not respect it enough, or they tell you you're fanatic, you're too strict, leave us alone, what all these things you're doing, we didn't do it in Bukhara, we didn't do it in Iran, we also used to be religious, you don't know what you're talking about, why are you making us look like goyim? It's a very common issue. Kids go to yeshivot, good yeshivot, they learn correctly, they come to their parents, the parents do not know a lot, they are traditional, they keep Shabbat, but they don't know the rules. So while they're keeping Shabbat, they break the rules of Shabbat every 10 minutes. They make tea. They don't know how to make tea. They mechalel Shabbat. They cut the toilet paper towel. They cut on the lines. They mechalel Shabbat. With the food, they put food back on a plata. Certain food you're not allowed to put back. They mechalel Shabbat. I one time went to stay by a family member, and the woman, after they brag so much that they learn, they know all the laws of Shabbat, I was sleeping in Shabbat on the couch in the living room, and then in the middle of the night I open up my eyes and I see the bowl of the chulent is on the floor. It's not on a blech. Chulent is a liquid food. So I say to myself, why? I guess after we went to sleep, the woman took it off because she wanted to put other things over there. So in the morning, when we came back from shul, I see it back on the thing. You're not allowed to eat from this chamin. The Jew was mechalel Shabbat on it. There's many examples like this. And this woman wasn't wicked. She's a religious woman. Ba'alat tshuva. She doesn't know. Sometimes even when the people know, they make their own rules. They're fanatic. These rabbis make it up. Hashem cares if I heat up the chulent because it's a little bit liquid. He doesn't care. They make it up. These rabbis, they like to make hard life. Rabbi, why everything is not allowed? Why? Why are you making life so hard? People think the rabbis own the Torah. The rabbis only tell you what Hashem said. What do you want? So, if the parents tell you to do anything against Hashem, get in a car on Shabbat, we are driving, it's not your problem, you don't do anything. We'll open you the door, you come in, we'll drive to Uncle Moishi, we'll get there, we'll open the door for you, you're not going to be mechalel Shabbat. It's our problem. Anyway, we don't keep Shabbat. Get in a car. I don't get in a car in Shabbat. I'm a religious man, I came from shul 2 hours ago. You want me to sit in a car on Shabbat? I'll die before I do such thing. Don't drive me crazy. I'll throw you out of the house. You and your rabbi. Every week there's arguments like this between ignorant parents and righteous boys or girls. Sometimes it's better to stay in peace and not to fight with them. But sometimes there's no other way. If a father tell his son to be Mechalel Shabbat, he cannot agree. Only if he threat to kill him, he is allowed. Take a knife and put it in his neck. You don't do it, I'll kill you right now. And you know his father is crazy. Now he's allowed. Why is allowed? Pikuach nefesh doche Shabbat. But other than that, he's not allowed to listen to him. Why? If you love your father, if you love your mother, of course you won't listen to them when they tell you to rebel against God. Because if you listen to them, the punishment that they are going to get for making you break the rules of God is so big. If you love your father, you rather let him break your bone than get the punishment that he will get. Hit me, it's okay. I'm not getting in a car. Hit me, relax, and you go. I'm not coming. So he hit you, so you bruise now, you sit home, you cry. But what happens if you get in a car? Your father not only is going to get punished from breaking Shabbat, now he's becoming Machtia Rabim. There's one thing that you sinner between you and God. That's one problem. When you make another Jew commit a sin, that's much, much, much worse. You're making other people go against me now. It's not only you against me. Now you influence other people to make sins. That's called Machtia Rabim. What's the difference? Anyway, he's already not a Jew. He's Mechalel Shabbat and he has no share to the world to come. So what's the big deal? So now he made another sin. He forced his boy also to get in a car. What's the difference? Anyway, when he dies, he doesn't go to heaven. He's done. So what's the difference? How much more punishment you can give him? The answer is, when a person is a sinner, he always has a chance to do tshuva, to make repentance. He has a chance. Hashem give him one chance and another chance and another chance. If he takes it, all the sins are erased. He starts fresh. Tshuva. But if he's Machtia Rabim, if he makes other people make sins, he doesn't have a chance to do tshuva. Hashem takes it away from him. Why? Because there are other people that because of you they are wicked. You're gonna become now tzaddik. You become tzaddik, and all the people that you made like goyim, they go to hell, and you're gonna go to heaven after you murder their souls. It's very difficult. So Hashem will do everything against you, that you will not become religious. Won't let you. The wife doesn't want, the father drives you crazy, the partner in the business is threatening to take you to court, the boss in the job is saying, if you're not coming to work on Shabbat, I fire you. You don't have what to eat. You must work on Shabbat, they'll fire you. What are you going to feed your children? Hashem makes it so hard for you that it's very difficult to do tshuva. Why? Because you Machtia Rabim. But if you're not Machtia Rabim, Hashem won't make it difficult for you. The opposite is going to help you. This is the difference between making the sins yourself and forcing others or convincing others to make sins. So you and your parents owe me respect. You can only respect them when they give me respect. If they rebel against me and disrespect me, what respect they deserve? I'll give you an example. You have a king and he has a master servant. Master is in charge of all the servants. And then there is a small servant, on the lowest level. The master servant, he wears a tuxedo, he's very fancy, he makes big money, he gives orders to all the servants. Everyone is respecting him. So as long as he gives respect to the king is very happy that all the little servants giving him respect. Imagine now the master servants begin to disrespect the king. Makes fun of the king, doesn't listen to the king, speak Lashon Hara about the king, and the king found out. Now what would happen when the king see that one of the small servants come and kiss the hand of the master servant? He gets very angry. Why are you giving him respect? He's the boss here. You made him the boss, no? As long as he respected me, Of course, I want all of you to give him respect. Now, when he disrespects me, it drives me crazy when I see you give him respect. He became my enemy. Do you understand the idea here or no? Same thing, sometimes people say to me, Rabbi, he's not religious, but he's a great person. And I always answer, there's no such thing. It's a lie what you just say. And they don't understand what I want. And they say, what do you mean? I know him. For 20 years I know this guy. He's a great guy. He's not religious, but he's a great guy. And I answer back, he cannot be a great guy. It's a horrible guy. You don't know him, I know him. So how do I know he's horrible and you think he's great? So I'll tell you why. If you live in a building, in a neighborhood, with your parents, and the boy is 17 years old, he respects all the people in a community, the neighbors, the people in the park, the goyim in a building, the Jews, everyone in a neighborhood, in a building, in an elevator, he see a woman with heavy bags, he helps her out. He see dirt, he cleans, he help people, he help the doorman. Very nice boy. Everybody comes to the father, what a son you have. In the meantime, this 17 years old boy, he beat up his father, he spits at him, he curses him, he kick him, he take money from him, he makes a mess in the house on purpose. He's bullying his father. His father is afraid of him. Look what he does to me. Rabbi, what kind of son I have? But he's nice to all the neighborhood, to Tony, to Vladimir, to Muhammad. He's very nice to them. But he spits in the face of his father every 5 minutes. Can you call a boy like this a good person, or is a low life? What is he? Does anybody think he's a good person? This is a secular Jew that you want to call him next time a good person. This is exactly who he is. He's nice to the people and to the world, so he makes a good impression, and he spits in Hashem's face every minute of his life. Hashem gives him oxygen, he uses it against him. He gives him water and food, he uses it against him. He gives him a place to live, he uses it against him to make sins over there. He gives him a car, he goes to all the places that Hashem told him not to go to. He gave him ability to be with a woman, to get married, to make a kosher family. That ability he used to go and make sins and get God angry. He gave him whatever he gave him, everything Hashem gave him, he takes. He never say thank you. He never appreciate. He always not satisfied. And whatever he gets, he uses against God. And you want to call him a good person? Makes sense what I say or no? I know it sounds extreme, but that's the painful truth. The truth hurts. Most of the time the truth hurts. When a doctor tells his patient, I'm very sorry, you have a growth. Let's hope it's not cancer. It's very painful. How many patients faint from fear on the spot? How many begin to cry? How many pull their hair off? How many people commit suicide when they discover they have cancer? It's very painful truth. But the doctor, the poor doctor, I always say, just for that, the doctor deserves to make fortune. Doctors that have to tell the patients that they have 2 months to live or 1 month to live, to sit in front of a person that you know he has a wife and children and he's young, and you tell them, Mr. X, we have very bad news from the x-rays. You have something in your head, you have 6 weeks to live. I don't know, if I was a doctor, words would not come out of my mouth. I would rather pay $1,000 to one of the people there in the hospital to do every time I need you come, I'll call you, you tell them. In Israel, you have people like this in the army. That's their job. They train them. They have to go and knock on people's doors. They don't call. They have to actually pay a visit to the family. When a soldier died, they still don't know it, the parents. It's not on the news. On the news, they just say 3 soldiers died, lo aleinu. 1 soldier just got, terrorists killed a soldier. The parents don't know. The son is, they don't even know where he is. Then all of a sudden, They open the door, they see a man and a woman, 2 officers. They don't need to talk. As soon as they see them, they understand. They fall on the floor and faint or get a heart attack or they begin to scream. What a job. Imagine. You have to go and knock on people's doors. It's a terrible job. Also to be a judge, to send a person to 20 or 30 years in prison, and you see the wife and the children screaming in a courtroom, and they are innocent, and they're going to have a nightmare for the next 30 years on something they didn't do. It's very hard to be a judge. He deserves it, but they don't. Innocent people are going to get hurt here now. It's not easy to be a judge. Some jobs is very difficult. Very difficult. I mean, he has nice moments. Yes, doctor has nice moments that he can save life. He feels great about it. But just for the one time he has to tell the patients you have 2 weeks to live, and he sees reaction, it's very difficult to function after that. It can affect the doctors mentally. The problem is that just like every crucial moment in life, people get used to it. And that's the biggest danger. The Gemara says, "Atov shebarofim lagehenom." It's very difficult to find doctors that make it to heaven. Even the greatest one of them has to go through hell first. Why? Doctors can save a lot of life. It's mitzvah to save life, no? It's mitzvah to bring cure to patients. It's mitzvah to treat them, even if you fail. It's chesed. Every day of the life of a doctor, it's chesed, right? Even though he gets paid very nicely, but still it's a chesed. It's not a sin. So why doctors has to visit hell before they ended up in heaven? They must go through there for X amount of time. Why? The answer, there's 2 reasons for that. First reason is because when they save life, they take the credit for themselves. Sichakti ota. We had a very successful surgery. You know, I had a brilliant idea. We decided to cut from the left, not from the right, and that's what saved the life of the patients. And Hashem cannot stand that people take credit and they don't deserve the credit. Not that they don't deserve, they deserve some credit. But their main credit comes to the one who decides who lives and who dies. But they take all the credit sometimes. But that's not the main reason. What's the main reason? Give me another reason why doctors have to be punished when they die. Why? There's a lot of religious doctors. No. Some doctors, if they break Shabbat, sometimes they're allowed to break Shabbat if it's a life risk. The answer is, Rabotai, because in the beginning when the doctor joined the hospital, first week, when the patients go, "Ay," the doctor has a pinch in his heart. "Oi, I'm sorry, okay?" Then when he hears somebody from another room screaming, "Ay, I'm dying, help me," run away, runs. "Hey, Mr. X, what can I do for you? Give me more pills, I'm dying, the pain kills me." Right away, call the nurse. He feels the pain of the patients. Come back 2 years later, 3, 4, 5 years later, he stands by. In my own eyes, I saw it more than 3 times. When I went to visit people in the hospital, they stand by the hallway on a computer, the doctors, the nurse, and you hear the patient, "Help, help," he rings the bell. So one time I said to one of them, "The patient is in pain, is calling you. Don't worry about it." They don't care bichlal. They got used to people suffering. Hashem cannot stand that someone suffer and you are ignoring it. You're indifferent, cold as ice. A Jew is suffering next to you and you walk as usual on a computer and reading the news? What's going on here? Your heart became a heart of a rock. Why? You get used to it. Same thing, you take a person and make him a murderer. I have a job for you. What's the job? Hitman. First time he kill a person, he takes a shower 500 times after and he doesn't sleep a week. Wow, what did I do? I'm such a fool. But he needs money. Second time, only 400 showers. Instead of a week, he didn't sleep 5 nights. After 20 times, he loves it. No more jobs? No, we cannot pay you 20,000 a head. I'll do it for 5, it's okay. After a while, he calls him, I'll pay you for every head you give me. Why? הרגל נהפך לטבע. When you get used to something, it becomes your nature. That's, by the way, a very positive thing that Hashem made in the world. That a person can get himself used to everything. And once he gets used to it, it becomes his nature. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that a person is very stingy. Kamtzan. He cannot give $1 donation. If he gives $1 donation, 3 weeks he cries. His hair became all white. What happened, Moshe? Don't ask. I'm having a very rough 3 weeks. What happened? This guy convinced me, I don't know, like a fool, I gave him donation. How much you gave him? I gave him $1. 3 weeks he's crying. No, somebody like this, you want to take donation from him? Of course not. How do you turn someone like this to a general philanthropist, all day writing checks? How? If he gave $1 and he kills himself and sees Shiva, how are you going to turn him into a very generous guy all day writing checks for donations? The way you do it, listen carefully. You tell him every day you come to the shul in the morning, you put 10 cents in the bag. 10 cents. 10 cents, it's very painful, Rabbi. Work on yourself. 10 cents you put. So you hold the 10 cents. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. In the end, okay, he went into the box. 5 minutes he suffered. He moves on with his life. After all, it's 10 cents. Next day, 10 cents, 10 cents. After a week, he got used to it. The rabbi comes, okay, now we're moving to the next level. What's the next level? 25 cents. Rabbi, such a high inflation? 2.5 times in 1 week? It's only a quarter. You cannot even buy a gum with that. 25, yes, no, yes, no. Okay, he puts it in. A week later, 50 cents. A week later, $1. A week later, $3. A week later, $5. A week later, $10. Every time, a little bit more pain. Increase, little bit more. 5 years later, 1,000, 5,000, 2,000. Once a person does something against his will many times, not only he stops suffering, not only he begins to love it, that he gets to a point that he cannot live without it. If you don't believe me, take the food you hate the most. The food you hate the most. What's the most common hated food, at least by Sfaradim? Huh? Gefilte fish. So everyone agree? At least, I say at least by Sfaradim, not to offend my Ashkenazi friends here, but at least by Sfaradim. Even when a Sfaradi finally makes gefilte fish, he puts on it tons of spicy, red, all kinds of hot peppers to minimize the decree. Tov. So now you come, you take a proud Syrian or Moroccan, sweet gefilte fish, the carrot is stuck on it like this. As soon as he sees it, he faints. Especially it comes from the jar from 6 months ago. It's in a storage of Costco 5 years, from Passover 5 years ago, year 2011. As soon as you open the jar, all the people around faint. Now you have to eat it. No. How do you fall in love with something like this? Fish from 5 years ago. The answer, you close your nose and you eat. Okay, Baruch Hashem, I'm full. Tomorrow a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Come in a month, see how they begin to love it. Do you know how many Moroccans cannot live without gefilte fish on Shabbat? Real white gefilte fish, not red spicy Moroccan. White, mamash 100% Ashkenazi. How? They learn in Ashkenazi yeshivot. in places that was the only fish on Shabbat. It's mitzvah to eat fish on Shabbat. So they forced themselves to eat lichvot Shabbat, tzaddikim. Today they cannot live without it. I used to hate eggplants like poison. Cannot look at that. When my mother used to put it on the stove, on the fire, and she peel it, and it looks like the things that comes out of the nose. As soon as I used to see it, I have a childhood trauma. So obviously I don't want to hear about eggplant or baba ganoush or all these fried eggplants. It's out of my territory. Well, what can I do? When I was in the army, I was in a very special place. And we were in a place that we need to sleep with our clothes because we were in the Air Force, in the F-16 unit. We have to be on alert in case one airplane penetrates Israel. We have to make sure that we go to defend the country in less than 2 minutes to be in the air, to go and fight those enemies. So therefore, you cannot go to the dining room. You have to be next to the airplanes all the time. Because if the siren goes on, you have to run 10 steps and right away get everything on a roll. You cannot go to the dining room. So obviously, what do we have to eat? They used to bring boxes of food, eggs, and they throw it by the kitchen, lots of oranges, some potatoes, and usually always eggplants. Eggplants all day, eggplants. So now the guys over there, eggplant like this, eggplant like this. What do you have to do? You have nothing to eat. Close your nose, you close, you vomit once or twice. You eat it again, you eat it again, you eat it again. Today you come to my house, at least 4, 5, 6 different kinds of eggplants on the table. You cannot live without it. It's the main delicatesse of Shabbat. All the salads like this, like this. What happened? Hashem made a rule in the world. What's the rule? אחרי הפעולות נמשכים הלבבות. Not like people think. People think if I like it, my heart will follow it. The answer is not true. If you follow it, your heart will go after. Remember this rule. It's a solid rule for life. Solid. Meaning, if you have a wife and she's stubborn and annoying, not only stubborn, also she knows how to annoy. So what do? Your ego doesn't let you let go. You must retaliate every time she annoys. So the house look like Iraq. Every minute a car goes on fire. 60 die there, 20 there, 200 there. Every minute celebration over there. Or Lebanon or Syria. That's how his house looks. It's very hard for him to put his ego down and ignore what she does. It's okay, no problem. You're right. But if you will only do it 2 weeks in a row, every day, you're right, no problem, I'm sorry, you're right. She's not right. She's wrong always.
You think she's going to stop herself?
She will stop herself. Guarantee. That's the way women are. Women only resist the man if they are not happy from him. If they're happy from him, they'll kill themselves for him. Ve'elishech tshukatech v'uim shol bach. It's a rule in the Torah. The Torah say a woman is anxious to serve her husband. The problem today that women do not want to serve their husband, don't want to even make them a cup of tea. Not to talk about making them a cup of tea. Sometimes they don't want to look at their face for a week because they are disgusted by them. Do you know why? Because they keep putting them down. They keep telling her all kinds of things that she cannot hear. They stick a knife in her heart. They stingy with them. They make the wife look like a garbage in front of the parents. He lets his parents put his wife down. Everything she said, the parents say the opposite. He always take his parents' side. So he is not realizing, but he's a typical criminal that the Torah warned from. Because the Torah said that as soon as you get married, your parents move to the third place, and your wife moved to the second place. Who is in the first place? Hashem. If your wife tells you, eat with me pork if you want me to be happy. I made a delicious pork. You're allowed to eat with her? Rabbi, tell him that he's allowed for Shlom Bayit. I want television in the house. Shlom bayit. Shtuyot. Next thing, she's going to make you a murderer. She wants to be happy. There's a limit, right? We're not talking about this kind of crazy things. We're talking legit things that she requires and requests. Legit things, legit. She wants attention, she wants love, she wants respect. She wants to know that her man love her more than everyone else. And when she says something, her opinion count before his father. Because this is what Hashem wants. ועזב את אביו ואמו. What's the rest of the sentence? ודבק באשתו. Only the ladies knows it. See, not one man knew the rest of the sentence. Or they rather not know. ועזב את אביו ואמו ודבק באשתו. Leave your father and mother. What does it mean leave? Leave them on the street? No. Still love them, still respect them, still help them financially if you can, still do everything, still be grateful to your parents until the day you die, of course. But not on the expense of your wife. And even if your father is right and your wife is wrong, you're still not allowed to criticize her in front of him. You have to protect her, and then later in a nice way, you talk to her very, very gently, and then explain to her that maybe, don't say you're wrong, maybe you should have not said this. What do you think? Ask her opinion. What do you think? Do you think it was important to say it? Maybe it would be without it? Not that you blame. You don't criticize. You're asking her opinion. She gets the point. You don't need to put her down. You understand? If a woman is happy from her husband, you will not hear one argument from her in 20 years. Nothing. You won't even know what it means to argue. Because it doesn't matter what you do or not do. You want to go for 3 days, you want to go on a business trip, nothing, she said. But if you're going to be around and do and give her and buy her, but you treat her like garbage, verbally, you're abusive, you show that her opinion is nothing, you tell her how stupid she is and how much weight she gained and how ugly is this dress that she bought and how bad is the ashpolo that she made compared to your mother. It doesn't matter what you buy her. In her emotion, she's distressed. And that's what most people don't know. So we move on. One more thing. The Torah say next, I'm jumping from one verse to another, therefore we're moving from one topic to another, because this is the way the parasha is. ובקוצרכם את קציר ארצכם, when you cut the grains of your land, לא תכלה פאת שדך לקצור. You have to leave פאה. You have to leave a little bit. וכרמך לא תעולל, ופרד כרמך לא תלקט. You have to live in a vineyard, and you have to make sure that the poor can come and take the rest, which you left for them. לעני ולגר תעזוב אותם. And right after that he say, לא תגנובו, don't steal. So the whole pasuk is teaching the Jew, don't be greedy. You have a big field, you cut few tons of grains, you're going to make thousands of pounds of flour, leave a few percent, a little bit, for the poor to come and take. Nothing will happen. Same thing with grapes. Leave them some. They also need wine for Kiddush. Leave the poor people. Look how they stand over there waiting that you move, that they can come and take. Also to the converts. They just came, they don't know the language, it's hard for them to find a job. You have to love them. Leave a little bit for them also. Oh. And right after that, you should not steal. By the way, in case you didn't know, in the 10 Commandments it says, לא תגנוב, לא תרצח, לא תנאף, לא תגנוב. What does it mean? You should not steal in the 10 Commandments. What does it mean?
Steal a person.
Very good. You're not allowed to steal a person, meaning to kidnap a person and take away his freedom. So even if you want, back in a time when they used to have servants and slaves, there were rules how to do it. You go to the market, you buy him, or he stole money, so he has to pay back, so you pay back to the person he stole from. There's rules. And even the slaves, they have rights. They have to get a good bed, like the master, and good food, and they have rights, and they go after a few years, they get released. They have rights. So what's going on over here? Why in the same verse, Hashem say, leave for the poor, leave for the converts, don't be greedy, leave them something, and right next to it he say you should not steal. In the 10 Commandments, he's talking about you should not kidnap a person. Over here, he's talking about stealing property or money. Lo tignovu. So the question is, Rabbi Yosef Karo, the one that wrote the Shulchan Aruch 500 years ago, he asked, why this is close to this? Every time two subjects are close in the Torah, that means there's some kind of a connection between them. What's the connection between leaving for the poor and you should not steal? The answer is, in Tehillim it says, in Psalms 72, verse 13 and 14, Yachus al dal, will have mercy on the poor, ve'evyon, ve'nefashot evyonim yoshia, and will save the spirit of the poor, ומתוך ומחמאס יגאל נפשם. What's the meaning of this verse? That by giving to the poor, you're saving them. And you're saving them from becoming thieves. When you give money to the poor person or food, you have two mitzvot. One mitzvah, besides that you kind, you do chesed, it's mitzvah of tzedakah. The second mitzvah, and I'm sure you never heard that before, the second mitzvah is that Hashem give you credit for the fact that this poor person did not steal all the time that you used to give him money or food. So if you supported him for a year, what did he do before you supported him? Well, he had to steal. Why? He doesn't have what to eat. You want him to die? So he has to go steal a little bread from the supermarket. It's either to steal bread or to die, one of the two. Or to look in the garbage. Some poor people, they're embarrassed to look in the garbage. They rather steal from the store than to put it in the garbage in the street that people see. In Israel, you sometimes go in a market, in a shuk. They have a lot of booths. Lots of fruit fall on the floor. Apples, peach, plums, all kinds of things. So what happened? You always see the poor people in the end of the day around 6:37. My own eyes, I saw it a few times. They come, some of them has a little cart, and they pick from the floor. So some of the owner of the booth, they have good heart. Grandma, don't take from the floor. Here, for you. He wrapped a nice bag and he gives her. The problem is that they come every day now, right? I remember when I came to America for a period of time, I worked in a bagel store. So the owner of the bagel store was a very cruel man and very, very anti-religion. He used to make fun. I once told the story that he came to me once with a bagel with cheese and pork, bacon on it, in my face. He eats it like this. Taste, delicious. So I told him, don't be Mr. Show-Off. If God wants, He can make you choke and die. A month later he died, 40 years old. Huh? Not choking. He died from a heart attack because he was a very heavy man. I have his image with his mustache, with his huge belly like this, all day standing, every hour, pick up the registers too. It was a very, very successful business. So staff of cash like this, I can never forget his face with his mustache like this. He's waving his fingers all day with the cash. Like this, all day. What? 40 years old? Hashem send him to Hashem Yerachem where? What is it, a human being? You make fun at Torah, at Hashem, you think you're a hero? And the end of these wicked people is worse than they can ever imagine. Let them smile now. Let's see who's going to smile in the end. They think the hero, religion, make fun. Everybody in the end gets what he deserves. All those who write Lashon Hara in the internet, and those who believe it, and those who go to this website, they're all going to pay the price in the end, unfortunately. I wish it wasn't like that. So when a person gives for the poor, so I remember, how did I remember the guy from the bagel store? So in the end of every night, he used to take a big black garbage bag with all the bagels that left in a basket, put everything in, maybe 200 bagels sometimes, 150 from every basket, put it all in a bag. I used to take some home, the other workers used to take some home. But how much we can take home every day? 6 bagels, 4 bagels, you, your roommate, your friend. You don't have what to do, you don't have room in the freezer anymore. So there's a lot of bagels. So he used to throw it in a big dumpster in the back. So I told him, why you don't give it to the poor people? So many poor people that don't know what to eat. Tell them to come every day when you close, 6, 7, whatever it was closing, to stand in the back. Instead of putting it in the garbage, you put it here and let them take. He said, I don't want. Then they'll come and drive me crazy every day here. If I begin to give them, they'll count on me. And one day I don't have, they're going to stand over here. Better to throw it to the garbage. You see how a twisted mind of a person is thinking? If you think it's only him, in Israel it's the same thing. Every day they dump tons of fruits and vegetables to the ocean. Tons. Imagine a huge semi-trailer. Look how big this shul from here to the end. Imagine a huge semi-trailer, wide, all the way to there, very tall, full of grapes. How much is a pound of grapes here? $3, $4? You're talking thousands of tons. Maybe $100,000 they throw to the garbage every minute, to the ocean. Why? And tomatoes and whatever you can think of. Why they do it? Because there's too much. The vineyards all over, they produce too much. If they bring everything to the market, the price will go down to half a shekel a kilo. It's not worth it for them. To carry the boxes all the way, this whole box, instead of $100, goes down to $5. Huge box of grapes. You carry it, you take it with you pay gas. By the time you arrive to the market, you sell it to the customer for $5, where you can make profit. And you need a lot of storage room. So you have to get rid of half of, or sometimes 60% of what you produced. Throw it to the garbage to keep the prices in the market high. But why? Make organizations to feed the poor and send it to them. The government should come and say, we're going to make a chain of trucks in every city. We're going to make few places for the poor people. Say, for 83%, 84% of Israelis are poor. Survey from 2 weeks ago. 41% of Israelis reported they are unable to save in the end of the month 1 shekel. Working 1 job, 2 jobs, the man and the woman, each one of them 2 jobs. They can't survive. After a whole month of slavery, 1 shekel they couldn't save. 1. 43% save money. How much? Average. 388 shekel. Exactly $100. 43% save $100 a month. After 1 year, they have $1,200. Now they have 4 kids. They have to help each one of them to buy an apartment in Israel. The most garbage apartment in Israel, more than 1 million shekel. The most, in the worst neighborhoods in Israel, more than 1 million shekel. If it's in a nice area, 2 million, 3, 4, 5, 7, 20 million shekel. How they gonna start with $1,000 a year that they save? These people have no future. So 41% that save nothing, 43% that save $100, which is also nothing, 84% are poor. What happened with the 16%? They did not say in a survey. Maybe they survive, maybe they save, maybe they're rich. Each one with his story. Forget the 16%. Let's focus on a vast majority. 84% live in poverty. 500,000 Israeli kids go to sleep hungry every night. Who supply these things? Not me. Not the religious people. The government itself. All different kinds of agencies. Unbelievable. What's happening? There are about 20 families in Israel that they basically own Israel. They own all the businesses, all the 20 very rich families. They own the banks, they own the high-tech, the big things. 20 major families. Of course, there's other wealthy people, but 20 families are big. Like Mishpachat Ofer, Harrison. They own a lot, non-stop. They own billions of dollars. Very wealthy. Even according to the world, not only to Israel. They have international business. Like cruise shipping all over the world. Big people. Banking. This is it. This is the situation. So what does the Torah say? When you give to the poor, don't only think about the mercy that you're feeding him and now he has what to eat and it's chesed and it's kindness. I'm going to give you also reward for removing him from stealing. Removing him from stealing. You know, I read, a few days ago, I read an article. I'm trying to remember in which country it was. Somewhere in Europe, I think. Maybe in America. A judge sentenced a person that stole bread from a supermarket to freedom. He set him free. He said it's not a crime. The police arrested him, stealing from the supermarket food. They brought him to the secular court, and the judge set him free. Nothing, no, he did not convict him. He said to steal food, it's a matter of life and death and necessity. Here is our friend came, they fly. He just arrived today, he came late. An hour late. Huh? He's becoming Bukharian. An hour later. Tov, Baruch Hashem. So, you know, every nationality, they say the same joke. You go to the Syrian, Rabbi, Syrian time. You go to the Persian, Rabbi, Persian time. You go to the Israeli, Rabbi, Israeli time. It's always an hour later. No. Anyway, so the judge sentenced that poor person to nothing, free. Sometimes you convict him, you give him probation, I don't know, go 2 days in hospital, do something and goodbye. Over here, not guilty. Why? To have basic food is a necessity. Do you think the judge ruled correctly or no?
I think it was correct.
Huh?
He's right. I think it was correct. If he's hungry, there's nothing to eat. I don't think that's his jail.
The answer is, I'm sorry to disappoint you, the judge is nothing but a fool. The judge is a fool.
Why?
And he contradicts the Torah. Why? Because the poor person could have come to the owner of the supermarket and say to him, Mr. X, I didn't eat for 2 days. I'm very hungry. Can you give me a little bread to eat? I don't think there's one owner of a supermarket in the world who wouldn't give him a loaf of bread that cost him $1. Right? Bread. He doesn't want sushi. He didn't ask for cold cuts. Just give me bread that I won't die. And let's say we are in Sodom and Gomorrah. They have a rule not to help the poor. So what's worse? He takes from the garbage and eat. He doesn't have to become a thief. It's not that he's going to die if he won't steal. You're right. If he's locked in a supermarket, somebody locked him, they went out of business. They locked him in. 3 days he cannot come out. He has nothing to eat. Now he's allowed to eat. If he won't eat, he'll die. Of course he's allowed to eat.
Doesn't count stealing.
Huh? Doesn't count stealing. Pikuach nefesh. There's a question in halacha, if you save your life with your friend's money, if you have to return him the money. Let's say, chas v'shalom, a neighbor, his son got hit by a car, and he must rush him to the emergency room, and he doesn't have now a car. So he ran quickly, he grabbed his friend's key, and he takes his car. His friend is not home. Or is in the shower. He took the car without permission, he drove his son quickly to the hospital, and he was using, let's say, $10 gas. And he saved the life of his son. Chas v'shalom, he had an accident because he was in a rush. He went on a sidewalk and he made a damage. Does he have to pay him? Or since he justified that he was able to use it to save life, he's dismissed from the damage? What do you think?
He has to pay.
Huh?
He has to pay. What kind of fund asks for that money?
What can... Well, if you have a Bentley and he just made you a $10,000 damage, you say, Moshe, I'm very happy you took my car. I'm so happy that with my car you saved the life of your son. But come on, $10,000 damage, pay it, please. Fair enough, no? I'm not complaining you took my car. I'm happy your son got saved. But what about my damage? I have to pay it? I'll tell you a story and you tell me if you're right or wrong. There was a person in the airport, a photographer, that had a bag with camera inside, expensive camera. And they said in a place, doctor, it was not an airport, it was a hospital. In a hospital, Dr. Cohen, please rush to room 301. So all of a sudden, the doctor from the cafeteria started to run. Why? It's an emergency. They call him. While he was running, he knocked down the bag from the chair that was in the waiting room, and the camera fell on the floor and broke. A few $100 damage. And Rav Zilberstein Tzaddik, is one of Gdolei Ador. He is a son-in-law of Rav Eliashiv. He's writing a lot of important books. So he said, Rav Zilberstein was there, sitting in a waiting room, and he was sitting in a waiting room, and he saw it. And he saw it. And when the person that owns the camera came back, he sees his camera is on the floor. He sees that the camera is on the floor. So he came to Rav Zilberstein and he said to him, Rabbi, did you see who knocked down my camera on the floor? Who did it? The rabbi answered him what? What do you think the rabbi said? The rabbi saw. What did he say?
Your camera fell in order to save somebody's life.
He said to him, I saw who knocked down your camera, but I'm not going to tell you. So the guy, why? I don't deserve to get paid for the damage that someone made me? So he said to him, you do, you deserve. But not when a person ran to save life. I heard that they called the name of that doctor and he ran to save someone. And when a person ran to save life, he's dismissed from any damage that will happen while he's busy saving life.
But how do you know it was that doctor?
Huh?
How did you know it was that doctor that was running who was being called? It was a different doctor.
No, because he started, as soon as they announced his name, he started to run. You don't run just like that. So, why the Torah dismissed a damager when that made a damage when he came to help? Why? Why Hashem dismissed the damage? Why? Because if a person knew that by going to save someone, I'm subject to all the damages, all the damages that will happen, I'm going to have to pay for them, nobody will go to save. Why should I take the risk? I'm going to go and save you. I'm going to try to come and put the fire off and knock down a vase that's worth $1,000, and you're going to tell me now you have to pay me? Why should I even help you? No one would like to save, because it's always a subject for a lawsuit, right? So therefore, the Torah says when you come to save, you dismiss from the damage. However, of course, that if you use someone's property to save yourself, it's midah tova to pay him back for the damage you made him. It's enough that he gave you what you needed. He doesn't have to lose from his own pocket for using his things for your personal gain. Okay, let's move on. So remember, next time when you feed the poor, not only you're getting for your chesed, for tzedakah, you're also getting a reward for preventing him from stealing. Because when a poor person doesn't have, in the end, sometimes he ended up stealing. Not all, but some. The Gemara asks, what's better, to be rich or poor or average? What do you think? Rich, poor, or average? The Gemara says, not rich and not poor. It's not good to be rich and it's not good to be poor. It's good to be average. Meaning, pay the bills. That's it. Nothing extraordinary. Why not good to be rich? Because 99% of the rich people don't give enough tzedakah and charity as they are obligated to give. And they're going to be punished severely for that when they die. For not doing the right thing with the money that Hashem gave them. So in the end, they're going to curse all the millions that they made. To curse it. Because they'll be so upset for not giving enough tzedakah. Now I have to deal with all the problems that Hashem is going to punish me. I wish I wouldn't make it. What did it help me? Anyway, it stays in the bank. The government took half. My other phlegmatic son took the other one to make some sins with that. What did I gain with all these millions? Right? Or my children fighting for the money. Usually the poor people, they lose from all direction. They work so hard all their life, and they always think, one day I'm going to retire and enjoy my millions, and usually it never happens. You see that they work and work and work and work. Most of them work, just work. Why? Because they cannot just stay and do nothing. They get bored. And sometimes when they die, right away there's tax on their property, 50%. They have a lot of real estate, a lot of money. The government takes 50%. Estate tax. And usually the money that they leave for the children, 9 out of 10 cases made the children enemies. You have to hear some of the stories I hear, what people do to fight for few thousand shekel, lousy. Cannot buy almost anything from it. How they fight for little money. Or some of the emails I get, I don't know if to laugh or to cry. People willing to hate each other and fight each other to death for 10% of an apartment that he left in some garbage neighborhood. Willing to kill each other. Imagine when the rich people leave, what happened? There's no end to it. There was one case in Manhattan. There used to be Rabbi Henkins, Zatzal. Alav Shalom, was very big chacham in the time of Moshe Feinstein Zatzal. So there was one kid from first marriage that was neglected by his father because the new wife hated him. Why she hated him? Because she has 4 sons and she doesn't want him as a competition because her husband was a very wealthy person. So she did everything she can to push that boy out of his father's life. She did not allow him in the house. Every time he called him, she made a big deal out of it and fight. Why? I don't want somebody else to come and take a share. It's enough, 4 kids, let them take everything. We don't need a 5th partner. One day the father had cancer. As he was dying in a hospital from cancer, the doctor gave him 36 hours to live. And he asked to see his son before he died. He sent someone to call him. He didn't know. When he found out, the poor boy, after being deprived for many years, he arrived to the hospital and the witch was sitting out there, reading Tehillim, Shir LaMa'alot. She told the boy, what are you doing here? You have the nerve to come here? Why? I want to speak to my father. Oh, you're still showing your face here? Get out of here. Where were you all these years? She threw him out. Now you're showing up? What, do you want some money from him or something? Get out of here before I scream. This poor guy was embarrassed. She kicked him out. The man died. They opened the will, and he writes in the will, my wife and my 4 children. No, he wrote my wife and my children. He didn't write how many children. It was clever, this father. He was under the influence of this witch, but he at least was clever enough. When he wrote the will with her, she didn't pay attention because she was checking around, with the lawyer. He wrote, when I died after 120 years. That's a Jewish expression. Everybody wished to his friend to live on to 120. When I died after 120 years, my wife and my children should split my estate equally. That's what he wrote. So she went with it, she wanted it. And this boy came to Rav Henkin. He said, Rabbi, they don't even let me come. Nothing. The lawyer read to me the will. He said, you're not in it. Rav Henkin told him, don't worry, I'm going to come with you to court. So they showed up in court. Imagine her face when she saw he came with a rabbi, an older man. So he said to the judge, I came on behalf of this boy. I just want to say as an expert that all my life I help people to do wills. And this was a religious man. When he wrote in his will, when I die after 120 years, what he wanted to say is that he does not want his estate to be divided before his son from first marriage get his share. That's why he wrote after 120. Why does he need to write after 120? Everybody knows they don't live to 120. If they're lucky, they make it to 90. Why did he write this? When I'll be 120, how old was he? 75. Wait 45 years. If you want to go by the will, literally, according to the law, you have to wait until he will be 120. And how old is this? 45 years from now. Unless you reach a settlement with my boy here. The Goy judge in Manhattan. The Goy said, Rabbi, I'm impressed. Brilliant. He said to the witch, go to the other room and reach a settlement. So in the end, she came back. She said, we'll give him 20%. Just doing him a favor. So the judge said, no, I don't like the deal. Let's reverse it. For what you did to him, you're going to give him 80% and you're going to take 20%, or you want to go to a trial. She already moved. That's it. So the boy got more money than all of them combined in the end. Chaim ve'amavet beyad halashon. If Rav Henkin wouldn't go with him, he wouldn't go. So this boy got a lot of money. Now one more thing in the parasha. Lo telech rachil be'amecha. Do not go and spread gossip among your nation. Lo ta'amod al dam re'echa ani Hashem. Don't stand on the blood of your friend, I am your God. This verse, you don't translate it literally. When it says, Lo ta'amod al dam re'echa, do not stand while the blood of your friend is spilling. It means every damage that happens to a Jew, that is your brother, while it's happening, you have an obligation to prevent it. I'll give you an example. If a Jew has a barrel of wine, it fell from his hand and cracked, and it begins to leak. Expensive wine. Back in the time, they had barrels. That's how they used to make the wine. It's worth thousands. It's maybe 100 bottles inside. It begins to drip. So, you have a barrel in your house across the street. How much a barrel costs? $10. You say to him, I have a barrel, let me run get it for you. If you walk and you ignore it, you can bring him a barrel and save him $300 or $400 or $500 of a barrel. If you walk and ignore him, It's like you made the damage to the barrel. You caused him to lose the money. That's what it means. Lo ta'amod al dam recha. One Jew is about to marry a girl, and the girl is everything the opposite of Rachel Imenu. If you understand my hint. She's not exactly Rachel or Sarah Imenu. And you know things about her that she will destroy the life of this boy. And they come and ask you. You know her, you used to be her teacher, you used to be a neighbor, you are her uncle. What is the story with this girl? Can my student marry her or no? You must say the truth. She's going to clubs, she's staying there in Manhattan, she smokes, she does drugs, she had all kinds of Hashem Yirachem bad things that she did. You must say it. It's not Lashon Hara. It's mitzvah to say all the truth, not to add nothing. But you have to say the truth. Why? If you don't say the truth, and this poor yeshiva boy will marry her, 2 or 3 weeks later will find out what a monster he married, and his life is over. Changes or not, you have to let him decide if she changes or not, if she changed or not. People don't change that quick. She can explain that she made tshuva and she's not the same kind. Or if you know she made tshuva, then you're not allowed to say. If you know she became totally opposite now. She went to yeshiva, to seminary, she's modest, she doesn't go out, she's shomer negiah, she doesn't talk to guys, she cancel her Facebook page, she took off all the picture. You're not a fool. You see she became a rebbitzin. Then you're not allowed to mention the past. Why? Anyone that you know that made tshuva, you don't remind his past. You're not allowed. But if the person is still like this, you know your friend is using drugs, and the girl asks you about him, you have to tell her, he's addicted to drugs, be careful. He's a gambler, be careful. He's a thief. He has a disease. He cannot see something and not steal it. I was with him in the same room. I saw it. He cannot see a woman without touching her. Even in a date, he's going to touch you if you date him. He doesn't have enough yirat shamayim, or his desire is too strong. He cannot control himself. These are things who ruins relationship. Or, chas v'shalom, it can cause into a serious sin. So you have to tell it in advance. That's called lo ta'amod al dam recha. If you want to help one Jew by murdering the other, since when you're allowed to save one Jew with the blood of another? Let me kill you to take your blood and save my friend. It doesn't work that way. You're not allowed. So that's called lo ta'amod al dam recha. So the question is, what's the connection between lo telech rachil be'amecha, do not walk around and spread gossip, and in the same sentence, do not stand on the blood of your friend, I'm your God. I'm God. What's the connection between these two restrictions? The Torah says, Lo telech rachil be'amecha, you're not allowed to go and spread lashon hara and gossip. There was a place to say, if Reuven wants to kill Shimon, Reuven hates Shimon, he wants to kill him. Maybe I'm not allowed to tell Shimon, it's lashon hara. I'm not allowed to tell him, hey Shimon, this guy Reuven planned to kill you. It's negative. Why are you making him bad reputation? It's lashon hara. So the ignorant people may think, Hashem said not to say lashon hara. I don't care. I don't say anything bad about anyone. Not true, you fool. If this person is danger to society, you must spread about him lashon hara. Everyone should be careful from him. If he's a rapist or pedophile or a thief or another Bernie Madoff, you have to make sure everyone knows about it. By the way, if anyone by this name come to you to do business with you, be very careful. He's going from one office to another. He's a crook. Be careful from him. Why? He has already a long record. If somebody sells fake jewelry once, twice, 3 times, FBI, police, and somebody come and ask you, I want to be his partner, you must tell him, stay away from this guy, he's not honest. He will bury you. Tomorrow you'll be arrested with him, with the FBI. You don't do it, Tomorrow he gets arrested, you are the cause for it. You are the cause for it. If you don't know for sure, you're allowed to say, I heard a rumor, but I don't know if it's true or not. Go and check. Go check. I heard the rumor that he did such and such. I don't know if it's true or not. I have no way to verify. Why? Let him suspect. He's going to go and make an investigation and find out. So, a person may think, I'm not allowed to tell Shimon that Reuven wants to kill him. So right next to it, the Torah says, Lo ta'amud al dam recha. No. You're only not allowed to speak Lashon Hara if it's not for to'elet. If it's not for good cause. But if it's for a good cause, you're not only allowed, it's mitzvah to talk. If you know your friend is about to go to a store of a crook, you must tell him Lashon Hara. Be careful, don't go to that store. He will tell you made in Italy and it's made in the bathroom. Not in Italy. They take, a lot of the suits that you read made in Italy, it's all fake. They make it in Mexico, Ecuador, China. It comes here, they have tags. They put made in Italy, making you Roberto Calcenoni. Right away, the price goes from 120 to 400. That's the baloney of this world. Whatever. There is somebody like that? Imagine there is someone like that. לא תלך רכיל בעמך. What does it mean, לא תלך רכיל בעמך? All the religious website, you know how religious they are. All the news website spreading gossip and Lashon Hara and motzi shem ra every minute, every day, every week, the entire year to thousands of Jews. Every time you go in, you give them strength and energy and money to continue with their crimes. You become a partner to the crime. That's why I gave you a great solution. Non-profit website. No commercials, no pop-ups, no membership fee, no banners, no Lashon Hara, not one negative word against the Jew there. World Torah News, free of charge. No pop-ups, they're annoying. Every second you want to move to another screen, 5 different pop-ups jump in your face. None of this. No viruses, none of these balonies, no spying. Free. Just read the news in a kosher way. That you don't have an excuse when you come in front of Hashem. There's not one kosher website. How can I know what's happening in the world? How can I live without knowing that ISIS killed somebody, Mustafa in Iraq? How is my day gonna be without knowing it? So you have it all there. Whatever other website publish, we clean the names of Jews that are involved. Sometimes you cannot publish the article. It's Isur Deoraita. I don't understand how they have the nerve to call themselves religious. They're murderers. They're not religious. They're murderers. Average secular person on the street is much better than each one of them. All day, every day, they spread articles against Jews and destroy their life. Even when they're only a suspect. Before they were even convicted. When there was only a rumor. 500 articles they put about people. Destroy their life, destroy their wife, destroy their children, destroy their parents, destroy their business, destroy their parnasa. 6 months later, when the police dropped the case, no lawsuit. 99% of the time, of course, there's no apology. If you demand an apology, they write a tiny box in the bottom of the last page where the advertisements are, right? We apologize to Mr. X for the article we published in this date. The court did not find any reason to prosecute him in a court of law. That's it. Nobody saw it. Years after, people look at him and run away from him like he's a murderer and monster. And he's totally innocent. You want to give power to these murderers? This is who you want to give? You're not allowed to go into them. if you're already going into this religious website, it's not as bad to go to the Goyish one. The Goyish one are not as bad as them. Do you understand? Over here, when you go into a Jewish website that call himself religious, and every time you click on them, they make more money on their advertisement, who keeps them in business. You become an accomplice to the sin, because you're helping them to get more money to stay in business. So now, the next time when they murder another Jew, you have a share in it. At least if you go to a Goyish one, the Goyim doesn't have the same rules. You don't have an obligation to stop Vini from spreading Lashon Hara. It's not my obligation. If Vini writes in the New York Times something Lashon Hara, I don't have an obligation to stop him. But when I go to all these yeshiva websites, yeshiva they call themselves, nothing less, yeshiva, the holiest place in the Jewish world, they compare the bathroom with all the waste inside to yeshiva, and they call themselves yeshiva. You understand? And none of the religious people think. Nobody. And some rabbis, without realizing probably, allow them to put their lecture on the website to make them look like they're religious. On the side, they give you, if you want to hear a lecture of this one, how do you agree that your lecture will be on the website of murderers who murder Jews every minute? How do you agree, right? If Bin Laden come and say to you, I want your CDs, I want to play it in the Al-Qaeda website, you agree to be on Al-Qaeda website? You want your Torah to be there with all the murderers? You wouldn't want, right? Unbelievable what's happening. Here you go. Lo telech rachil be'amecha. The Chafetz Chaim, in the opening of his book, I made a whole lecture in Lakewood about it. Lashon Hara, look for it. 2 hours lecture. I'm going to tell you in a minute. The Chafetz Chaim, time is running out. The Chafetz Chaim counted in the introduction to his book how many sins from the Torah a person does every time he speaks Lashon Hara about a Jew. Or write it or spread it. How many sins from the Torah? Different sins. From the 613 mitzvot, 240 to 365 restriction. From the 365 restrictions, how many of them we violate every time we say the truth about another Jew? Forget about lies. Lies is much worse. Saying the truth. This guy is very smelly. This guy is very stingy. This guy is a lunatic. This guy has a funny accent. This guy dressed like a clown. Saying his name. You don't say names and no one knows who you talk about. It's not Lashon Hara. You actually specifically write or say or publish in your Facebook page, or sometimes even do more than that, add some salt and pepper to the story. How many sins the Chafetz Chaim writes you do? The answer is 17 restrictions from the Torah you break in 1 second, and 14 positive commandments you break. 17 and 14 together is 31. Every time you speak the truth against a Jew, not towards someone who wants to marry him, that's a different story. Just because of you're bored. Why they do it on the news? Rabbi, the public is thirsty for news. The public interest. Nobody is going to marry him. Why everybody needs to know that the FBI is investigating him? Why does it have to be in a Jewish website? Why does it have to be his poor wife? Not only her life is messed up, she just discovered who she married. Well, let her deal with the grief. Now you publish to the whole world that she cannot come out of the house for a year? You want her to kill herself? What about the future of the children? What about yeshivot that will not want to take them, and their shidduchim, and the parents that will die from a broken heart? Just because the lousy murderer reporter wanted a little bit more rating, that the publication will write to him another $300 in the end of the week. That the article is juicy. Interesting. Not to talk about that 90% of what they write is usually always lies. They have very, very rich imaginations. They have, I can teach you now, they have 2 tricks that they always do. 2 tricks. One trick is, actually 3 tricks. One trick is they call a person with attack. They come with attack. We're about to publish all this information against you. What do you have to say? What's your side of the story? They're pretending that they're honest. So first they put you under pressure that they're going to murder you tomorrow. But before, they're giving you also 1 or 2 lines that you can maybe say your side of the story. Now they begin to talk to you and they ask more and more questions. And then they ask you about certain things and you give them answers. And one of the words that you say in the answer that has nothing to do with the article, that they found it juicy, they make it the headline. Has nothing to do with the subject. That you had a fight with another person, that's become the headline. Why? It attracts more fire. Or the third trick that they have, they write in the article both sides of the story because they want to protect themselves from a lawsuit. We gave him a chance to respond. But the article is not so bad. You can understand it both ways. The headline is the knife in the heart. Provocative. The well-known. So right away with 2 or 3 words, they already murder you. It doesn't matter what the articles say already. You understand? This is how they work, these murderers. And it's all for raiding. And how foolish the publics that they believe newspapers. How foolish they can be. Here you go, I'm telling you right now. And I'm telling you from experience, not from assumption. Every time they spoke to me, they changed 90% of what I told them. Every time they wanted to present something, they manipulated and changed the details and made purpose mistakes, supposedly, to make it look completely different than it really was. This is how it goes. So how do you believe them? Tomorrow you read about this person and this one. You're not allowed to believe them. Yes?
Can I ask Rabbi, which websites you're allowed to tell us?
All of
The
them.
ones that manipulate.
There's not one religious kosher website. You don't need to say names. You don't have one kosher religious website for news. Besides the one I told you, World Torah News.
Other than that?
No one. They're all, first of all, they have non-modest commercials. Links to websites that are not kosher. Lashon hara about Jews. Spreading gossip about people. Influencing the public against this rabbi and against this one. A lot of kfira in the articles as well. Who do you think goes to be a reporter of a newspaper? Big Talmidei Chachamim? They know the law of the Chafetz Chaim? They read it once in their life? They care about it? I told one of the reporters in a very famous Israeli website for news, I told him, you fool. You have the power to make peace between Jews and bring the beauty of the Torah out to the world. Hashem gave you such a power, a fool like you, 20-something years old, you're sitting and typing, you can save thousands of people. Instead, all you do is instigate and make fight and make lies about peoples and rabbis and destroy the religion. He didn't even care what I'm telling him. He did not stop half a second to think what I said. That's how much deep they are in the hand of the Satan. They don't see. Mamash, you talk to the wall. Mamash, you're talking to the wall. Go and try to tell Nazi to love a Jew. That's the same ad to try to tell them to stop what they're doing. And you tell him, how much you gonna make from this article? I'll pay you this money. Don't publish this Lashon Hara. I'll pay how much? 3 more hundred they're gonna give you? How much you think they give them? Unless if there's such big names from CNN or something, to those little websites, how much you think they give a reporter for an article? A few $100, how much they give them? But the rating, plus they open comments. Every murderer on the street can comment and spread more lies and add to the story. The Torah allow this? Show me one place in the Torah or in Halacha that allowed to spread stories against Jews and allowed the whole world to publish all kinds of nasty curses and add details to the story and murder them in a public in front of a million people in the audience. Show me. Once you show me a source, I will be the first one to apologize to all these publications and put my head down and recommend to go to them. But until then, I repeat what I say. They're nothing but murderers. And that's how you have to look at them. And when you see him in a wedding, you're not allowed to shake his hand, this reporter, because he's a murderer. If you see a serial killer, you won't run to shake his hand or to take pictures with him. You won't do it. These people are doing more damage than killing the bodies. They're destroying souls and families of the people. And if people were clever and followed the rules of the Torah, not one Jew would talk to these reporters. Not one. Put them in a total isolation. No one married them, no one does business with them, no one talks to them until they publish such thousands of apologies to all the people that they murder, even if the news was right. It's still against the Torah. Make no mistake here. It's almost always not right. But even if it was 100% right, it's still a murder from the Torah. No, show me a proof. Show me where is it allowed. Show me one big rabbi in the world that allows such thing. You don't have. You will never find. So the Chafetz Chaim says 31 sins from the Torah right away. But it's not only that. If the person is a Kohen, 32. If it's a widow, another sin. It could be a big rabbi. Now it's Kvod Torah, another sin. So basically, in my lecture in Lakewood, it can arrive to almost 40 sin. Every word of Lashon Hara can be almost 40 different sins from the Torah. You tell a person to eat pork, horse, monkey, shrimps, camel. Put 40 plates. Delicious, Rabbi. Delicious. What is it? Pork. What is it? Cat. What is it? Donkey meat. What is it? Horse meat. What is it? Monkey meat. What is it? Dog meat. What's these? Rats. What's these? Worms. 40 plates. Do you know one religious Jew that will eat from those plates? At least not on a public, right? Huh? What if you give him money for every plate? Every taste you eat, Rabbi, I'll give you $100 cash. You can just make $4,000 right now. Camel meat, delicious. Give me the $100. Monkey meat, extra delicious. Give me $100. You know anyone will do it? No, right? Every Lashon Hara is worse than eating for these 40 plates. Worse. Why? You eat non-kosher, you can do easy tshuva for it. If you murder a person in a public, there's no way to do tshuva for it. No way. You should know that. There is no way to do tshuva for Lashon Hara. The only way to get saved from a horrible punishment if the person forgave you. That's the only way. To fix the damage, there's no way. It's like murdering a person. You cannot bring him back to life. Right? If there was a way to talk to the person after he died, Itzik, I'm so sorry I killed you. I wish I can bring you back to life. And Itzik will send you an email from Olam Haba. Don't worry. Just do tshuva. I forgave you. I'm not upset. If there was a way. No, so they will forgive you. But there's no way. Okay? The Talmud says on the next verse, and this is the last thing for today, Ocheach tochiach et amitecha. You have to rebuke the bad way of your colleagues, meaning Jews. But not just Jews, Jews that follow halakha. Not Jews who grew up in Siberia and they don't know what Torah is. Or Jews that grew up in a kibbutz or in Tel Aviv. No, not this kind. This kind of people, poor people, not once in their life anyone taught them the truth. They have no idea what they're doing, bichlal. If you tell them what you eat is not allowed, they will ask you why. It's not healthy? No, it's healthy, but it's not. It's against the rules. Against the rules of who? The government made a rule against it? They won't understand what you want. They won't understand there's such thing in the Torah. Today I spoke to someone And he tells me, he came to me with his wife to talk to me, and in front of me they talk how he works in his business on Shabbat. And and it's two nice people, mamash nice, but they have no idea what Judaism is. They grew up like goyim. So what's going on? They sit in front of me, they talk. They didn't think it's important to hide from me the fact that he goes to work on Shabbat. It's one thing that they're not Shomer Shabbat. I'm not a fool. I see that they're secular. But a lot of the secular people do not agree to work on Shabbat. They already see as a red line here. To work on Shabbat, to go to work? Come on, Rabbi, I'm not a goy. So they talk in front of me like they didn't even have 1% understanding that to open the business on Shabbat, there's something wrong with that. And I have to sit with these Jews and hold my tears for them. You understand? By the way, people like this, if you said that they're good people, it's not a sin. Remember what I said before? If you say he's a good person, he's not religious, but he's a good person. You're not allowed to say it on secular people. But if the person that you say it on, it's called Tinok Shenishba, a baby that was captured to the hands of the Goyim when he was a baby. This is an expression of a Jew that nobody ever taught him Judaism. He's 30 years old now. He has no idea what Pesach is. He doesn't know what Shabbat is. He never saw tefillin in his life. He didn't have bar mitzvah. He has no idea. He doesn't see any difference between a Jew and a non-Jew. Nothing whatsoever. He doesn't even understand what you want from him. What religion? What Torah? What is a Torah? Somebody like that, it's called Tinok Shenishba. Like when you take a baby from his mother's crib, you kidnap him, now he's 40 years old. Does he know he's Jewish? He has no way to know. Now, is it fair to judge him that he's not Shomer Shabbat? To give him punishment? No, he's dismissed. He's not a criminal. He's anus. He's forced. Somebody like this you can say is a good person. Why? If he knew the truth, most likely he would be religious. He's just ignorant. He doesn't know anything. But other people from the community, his brother is religious, his father is religious, he's this, he's that, he's 1 block away from the synagogue, he saw on YouTube hundreds of videos, he listened to rabbis, he read some books, he went to yeshiva when I was a kid, like most of the people here in Queens. Most of them, the non-religious ones. They know. You're not allowed to say on them that they're good people. Every time you say that they are good people, it's rebelling against Hashem. You say on him that he's good when he spits in my face every minute. If somebody spits in your father's face every minute and disrespect him and never appreciate what your father does for him, and your father sees his son go to help his enemy, he's great, Abba, leave him alone, he's a great guy. What is the father's gonna say? You're nothing better than him. You cooperate with him against me. You give him compliments, you say he's good when he goes against your father. You understand? So the Torah says, "Ocheach tochiach et amitecha." You have to rebuke the way of your brothers. The Gemara in Masechet Baba Metzia, page 31, the Gemara says like this: how many times you have to rebuke? How many times? One time you say to him, you know, you're not allowed to drive on Shabbat. It's a very big sin. I heard you, thank you. Next Shabbat, you see him again. You have to tell him? You come and tell him again? I heard you last week. I'm not deaf. I got the point. Don't have to annoy me. Oh, so what does the Gemara say? Ocheach tochiach afilu 100 פעמים. Even 100 times. Meaning, without limitations, no limit. So we have an obligation to rebuke the sinner until he'll agree to listen to what we say. Not 100, it could be 1,000 times even. When the Gemara says afilu 100, even 100 means 100 and more. There's no limit. The Gemara didn't say up to here. But we have a contradiction here from the Gemara. Supposedly. What's there? In the Gemara in Masechet Yevamot, page 65, the Gemara say the same way there's mitzvah to say something that will be heard, There is mitzvah not to say to something that will not be heard. If you come and speaking to a clown, why are you eating not kosher? You don't know it's against Hashem? You fanatic, crazy, primitive. Go back to Iran, go. It makes fun. Next time you see him eating pork, you have an obligation to tell him something. He will make fun at you in public. You don't have an obligation. Or will hit you. Or will do even worse, on purpose. Somebody like this, after one time, it's enough. So in one hand, you say even 100 times. On the other hand, if you know he won't listen, you don't have an obligation to tell him even once. Because somebody else told him and he didn't listen, he won't listen to me as well. So which one of the two is correct? What do you think? There is a contradiction here or no?
No contradiction.
So the answer is, of course, there's no contradiction. There's no contradiction in the Torah. You just have to understand why it looks contradicting. And the answer is like this. The Saba Mikelem Zatzal explained. He says, there are two kinds of people that accept rebuke. One person accepted for a short period of time and go right back into his sins. You see him eating not kosher. Moshe, you're eating not kosher. What's wrong? What happened with you? Your grandfather was a rabbi. Look what you became. You're right. Take the pepperoni, puts it in the garbage. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. 2 days later, he's licking the pepperoni again. At the moment that you spoke to him, I made an impression on him. He felt horrible. He took the $8 he just paid for and put it in the garbage. Then there is the second guy. You come and talk to him about the pepperoni. He's checking emails and eating. He looks at you like you err. That's one way. Or he laughs at your face. You really expect me to believe this nonsense? Get out of here before I break your bones. Now because you told it to me, bring me 2 more slices with pepperoni. One more time you tell me what to do, I don't know what I'm going to do to you. This is the second kind of people that accept rebuke, but this is how they respond. When the person accepts the rebuke even for a short period of time and he goes right back to his bad ways, you should never give hope on him. Again and again and again and again until one day you say, I had it, the heck with it. That's it. This time, it's done for good. No, you're right, Rabbi, that's it. I'm beginning to keep Shabbat. But the other ones, after the first time, don't waste a minute on him. Let him get what he deserves. What do you worry about him? Only someone that is conscious still works. Which means when you told him, you saw he made an impression. You understand? So, next time he goes back to bed, you talk to him again and again. You don't give up on him. But the other person that right away did not agree to even hear a word, and he threatened you. Sometimes, there is a common problem that people stole money when they were not religious, and now they became religious, and they want to go and return the money to their ex-boss, or to somebody from a business that they stole from. The only problem is they're afraid that he's going to call the police. Usually, a person that somebody stole from him, after a few years, he didn't even know about it. He comes to the business and he brings him a bag and he said, this is all what I stole from you. I'm so sorry. I became religious now. I realize what it means to steal. Please forgive me. A normal kosher Jew not only will forgive him, will be so impressed. Wow. Look at him. There was a case, there's one person that is one of my Baalei Tshuva from maybe 16, 17 years ago. He became a rabbi. Today he's a rabbi, he teaches young people. One day he calls me up. In the first few years that he became my student, he said, I used to work in a jewelry wholesale business in Manhattan. Jewelry wholesale. What did I know? I was like a goy. no belief, no Hashem, no nothing. I grew up in public school. I was getting a lousy salary. Every once in a while I used to get a diamond or two, some gold. So I want to return all the jewelry. I still have it. I didn't sell nothing. I have a bag full of diamonds and gold and bracelets and all kinds of earrings. But if I return it, I'm afraid that this guy is not such a good person, my ex-boss. He can call up the police on me and I'll go to jail. So I said to him, don't worry. Pack all the jewelry, give me the jewelry and give me the telephone number of your boss and I'll go and deliver it to him. So, oh, great idea. So I say, over the years, he had a lot of people that work for him. He has no proof. Even if he suspects you, he cannot turn you to the police because he doesn't know. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. He won't know. I won't give him any detail. So I say, okay, great idea. I get a bag. I see two earrings on a, $2,750. This, a little a ring. 7,000, 4,500. The cheapest thing was $700-800 there. Nothing. Thousands of dollars. This bag was a lot of money. And this guy was so poor. The time he gave me back all this jewelry, poor to the point of almost starvation. But if that's the truth, I didn't know what it means to take something is not yours. Today I know. I don't want it. He collected everything. So Baruch Hashem, I did not sell any. Here it is. So when I call up the owner of the business and I said to him, I'm going to pass by Manhattan, can you come downstairs when I call you? And told him the story on the phone. He thought it's a prick, I'm playing games with him. But then when he heard Rabbi, this, that, maybe he was Googling as we spoke. So he said, okay, come, call me, I'll come down. He came down with his son. I gave him a bag like this full of diamonds and things. I never saw in my life such thing. He didn't even move an inch in his face, nothing. I don't even think he said thank you. He took it and went right there. Mamash, maybe he has so much money that is nothing for him. Obviously, he didn't realize he's missing all this jewelry. Imagine how much he has. In a normal business, you're missing $30,000 or $40,000 jewelry from your inventory, and you have to know right away something is wrong here. But here is an example of what's going on here in this world. I know one guy from Queens here. He drove to a place where he worked when he was 16 years old, far away in New Jersey, to give the guy $30 because few times he took quarters from the register to put in a meter. He got a new license, he had the car, he was excited, he was 17, 16, whatever. He used to take sometimes quarters that he didn't have from the register and put in a meter. So I asked him, how much you think you took? He said, once I took twice, once I took 4, 5, 6, probably altogether $30. And when he arrived, on the way back, he called me up. He said to me, I had to see the face of that guy, the owner of the store. As he became old man. We're talking more than 20 years later. Was still the owner of the shop. He drove all the way there, hours. When he arrived to the place, and he gave him the money, and he told him what it was, and now he saw him with the kippah. It was the biggest Kiddush Hashem. The guy hugged him. He couldn't believe it. He said, God bless you. This is like the Gemara. That some of the goyim bless Hashem when they saw tzaddikim doing certain things. If we already mentioned it, we'll finish with a beautiful story that happened in Morocco. There was one rabbi in Morocco, Rabbi Nissim Zarian. He was a big Dayan tzaddik. One time, there was one Moroccan Jew. He has a neighbor, Arab. The Arab wants to go to Mecca for the Ramadan, Saudi Arabia. So he brings a lot of money, 60,000 lirot, and he gives it to the Jew. So you a religious Yahud, keep it. I'm going to the Ramadan. We're talking this story at least 60 years ago, maybe 80, maybe even 100 years ago. But minimum, it's actually before Israel became a state. So at least 70 years ago, this story, at least. In Morocco, before Israel became a state. So he said, I'm going to go to the Ramadan. It wasn't like today you get into a BMW and you drive to the airport, first class. What's their name? Qatar Airline. And they land you right away over there. No. It was donkeys, camels, that's the way it was. Maybe an old truck, dusty. So you sometimes don't come back. So the Muslims say to the Jew, if I don't come back 1 year, the money is yours. Fair enough? If I come back, you give me the money. We have a deal. The shook hand, he gave him the money. Now this Moroccan Jew, every day was reading Tehillim, that this Mustafa will never come back. Shir LaMa'alot, Shir LaMa'alot, Shir LaMa'alot. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. Now you know what's happening. Every week, he's already feeling more attached to the money. Because there's less chance that Mustafa will come back. Guess what? 11 and a half months, Mustafa showed up. Ay. נפלו פניו של הג'ו, oh my God, he came. All this Tehillim for nothing. Mustafa came, marhaba, ya achi. The Jews say, how are you? How was your trip? Jibel money. Where is the money? What money? The money I put by you. Come on. You became crazy, what? You didn't put any money by me. Come on, Yahud, don't make jokes. It's all my life savings. Give me the money. Hey, you became fanatic Muslim, now you come to try to make a trick, you're trying to get money out of me? So the Muslim saw this Jew is not exactly what he thought he is. A crook. He went crazy. He said to him, listen, are you serious? Get out of my house. Now the Jew became the attacker. You know how these thieves. You have the nerve to ask for your money after what I've done for you? That's usually how it is. The policeman is usually the criminal. And the murderer is the mayor of New York. So, this guy, he cannot believe it. So he come to the Rabbi Mizrachi in a bed din. He said, Rabbi, I want to come to you. This Jew stole my money. The Rabbi said, no problem. Come tomorrow, bring him. I'll hear both of you together. So when they came in, he asked Mustafa, do you have any signature that you gave him the money? No. Any 2 witnesses saw it? No. You give a person cash like this and you trust him? How can I not trust him? He's a religious man. He comes to your shul every day. Wow. He will steal my money like this? Now, the rabbi knows that these Arabs say the truth. Because there's a rule. A person doesn't come in the face of another person and say, what about the money I lend you? Where is the money you owe me? He cannot look at his face and make up such a story unless there was something. Maybe he owe him 20,000, so he's making it 40. Yes, that's possible. But if there was nothing between them, you don't come to a person and say, excuse me, Chris, where is the money I lent you? What? 6 months ago I lent you the money. Why are you not giving it back? Who's going to do such thing? Even though today I've seen everything. Well, normally it doesn't happen. So what happened now over there? The Arab doesn't have any proof. And according to the Torah, if you don't have proof, you lose your money. But the rabbi feel bad for this guy. So he said to the Mustafa, wait outside 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes with the Jew, please. Mustafa goes out. So he comes to this Jew. Ishtabach Shemo, you're such a genius. How did you fool him like this? Why, you gave it to this Arab? You gave him what he deserved. But why only 60? You should have taken more. Rabbi, he only gave me 60. He didn't have more. He had more, I'll take everything. Right away, the rabbi turned his face around. You crook. You just admitted to me you stole the money. Rabbi, don't joke with me. You're going to take his side against me? We are Jews. He's an Arab. Right the way he said to the Shamash, call Mustafa in. And he said, Mustafa, he just admitted to me he stole the money. He's going to give you the money and he's going to give you penalty. And I'm kicking him out of the community. He cannot enter my shul anymore. So the Arab was so happy. He went to the Jewish bakery. He bought all the Moroccan breads. And he went to the place where they used to sell butter and cheese. He bought all the butter. And he was standing on the street and screaming to all the Jews, everyone can come and take kosher bread and kosher butter on the house as a blessing of the God of the Jews and the Torah of the Jews and Rabbi Zarian, the tzaddik. The Arab was standing all day in the street and screaming for such a Kiddush Hashem, that the Jews have justice, and look, he took my side even though I'm an Arab, and most Arabs hate Jews, so he had many reasons to find me, and plus I didn't have a proof. The Arab realized he doesn't have a proof. In any other court, you will go to the Muslim court, what can they do? You're telling me a story, do you have a proof? Any court, you need to bring a proof that you gave cash to someone. But the Arab got it out of him. The Rabbi Zarian got it out of him. This is the justice. The Torah says you're not allowed to steal from a goy, from a non-Jew. When you steal from a Jew is one sin. When you steal from a goy, it's two. It's also big chilul Hashem when it's go out to the world. You understand what's happening? Bezrat Hashem, we'll see you next Wednesday, 8:30. Thank you very much for coming. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.